and we're now ready to go and bring you Phantom Brave. Take it away, Khobahi.
Thank you very much. This is Phantom Brave, another tactical RPG made by the creators of Disgaea. I am Khobahi. I'll be running the game. I'll let my couch introduce themselves.
I'm Pink Pajamas. I created this route.
I'm Demarine. I've run this route once and have a time of about 4 hours that I need to go on the leaderboard eventually. But I really love this game casually as well, so hopefully we'll give you a good...
Fantastic game.
Yeah, we should be good to go, so get a countdown. All right, in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so like most RPGs, this game starts out with a cutscene that I just have to sit here and wait for it to kind of finish, and then I get an awesome tutorial that takes up about the first 2 minutes of this game.
Yeah, you can skip some of the cutscenes in this game, but not all of them. And it's kind of weird how selective they are with which ones you can skip.
I mean, thankfully we're going to skip the better part of them, though, because they're mostly very sad.
Yeah, actually storyline-wise, like the beginning of this game, the blue-haired girl and the green-haired guy are actually the mother and father of the main character that we'll get introduced to in a second. But for now, they're just getting attacked by these little slime monsters.
This kind of just sets up the overarching story of the big bad of Sulfur. So here we get into kind of the tutorial where we see the system. And even though this is a tactical RPG, there is no grid at all. It's all kind of in a analog kind of style. So going with the tutorial that just teaches you how to attack and move, which of the things to give a tutorial for in this game, this is probably one of the things they probably didn't need to do.
No, especially considering there's another tutorial later, but we can skip that one, thankfully.
Yeah, but that one actually has unique and complicated elements to it.
Yeah, that'll introduce us to the entire system of this game, which we do care about, but since Khobahi already knows it, he doesn't need to actually go through the tutorial.
So you can see on the right there, you have the turn order. So the character who's controlling Ash gets 2 turns in a row before they get a single turn because his speed is high enough.
All right, how does cutscene to skip right there?
Yeah, if he missed that cutscene skip, he would have lost about 5 minutes, I think.
Yeah, that one's one of the longest cutscenes in the game because it sets up the entire plot line and explains phantoms and that Ash dies.
I mean, it also explains the last boss, so at this point, we don't know who it is, but... So this character that I'm picking up right now is Morona. Hello. She's the main character in the game. The way the battles work in this game is Morona's supposed to summon phantoms to fight for her. We do that for a bit, but it's slow, so we kind of work towards getting away from that later.
Yeah, and you saw that he jumped into specific spots, and that was just to get a bit of money for some of the early stuff he needs. Now here we actually have the system where everyone except Morona is a phantom, which is technically dead, but Morona has the ability to summon those phantoms. So to summon that, we need to confine them to an item on the area. And every single stage has at least a few items that you can summon phantoms to. So that's what he did with Ash, and you don't use Morona here at the very beginning to attack because she's pretty weak in terms of the attack. So right now, we are going to set up our initial party of 4 witches, and we're also going to use Ash, one of the main characters. These 4 witches, they start with an elemental attack, and it's random which one they are. So Khobahi is going to actually look and see which elements we have.
2 ice, 2 wind.
2 ice, 2 wind. And so now we go to the merchant and we want to buy books for them that give you we're kind of trying to mismatch elements. There are 3 elements in the game, and we're trying to get just equipment for them so that they can use 2 out of the 3 elements. And that's kind of why we use the witches.
I killed this guy for a free level up because it he really doesn't matter.
Yeah, that ghost there is the tutorial ghost. Whenever you go back to this island, he respawns every time, and every time you do that, you get a little bit of EXP and mana. Mana is the important thing because for the first half of this run, what we're looking for is to get a total of 2,500 mana. And while 6 at a time doesn't sound like much, it does add up.
Yeah, usually the way that this run goes is that we're going to need every little bit of it that we can get, including the ones on the witches, who will eventually, a couple of them will probably be sacrificed to get us to that number when all is said and done.
Also to note, pretty much every single enemy in this game has, between the 3 elements, their resistances are just completely random. They all add up to 0, but they'll sometimes be weak to one element, and resistant to another. So what we're looking for is we're going to take a quick look at those resistances and try and find the weakness out of them that's random, and then we have the witches that use one of their 2 elemental attacks to actually be able to one-shot them.
And you just hope that the one that you put a witch near has that elemental weakness. Like that one didn't really have good weaknesses to begin with, so actually none of these seem to.
Yeah. That one was pretty even across the board, and that's what you don't want to see.
Yeah, we want to see the really big negatives and have the right witches to do the job, because then that's about the only way that we're really going to assure one-shots, because our stats are abysmal right now because we're level 2.
So if you notice, we threw that kind of brown slime there at the very beginning. He provides a little EXP bonus for all of the enemies here, so we want to beat him last. And Ash here is going to be our physical attacker. He's got pretty good stats for the very beginning of the game, and he also comes with 2 unique skills. One of them is, I think it's called First Strike, where the first time the exact moment that you confine him, he will get a turn. So he'll always go first, like the very moment that you confine him in. And then he has another skill where on his final turn, he will double his stats. So each Phantom has a kind of remain stat. The Witches have 3, Ash has 5. And that determines the number of turns that they can actually be on the field. So you have a limited number of turns for each of your Phantoms. And right there, we saw that Witch used up all 3 of her turns and now just kind of exited the field. And when that happens, there's a chance that they take the item they confined and you have it for good. And every time we see that, that's good, because that will add to the total mana of the run. And that slime is being a jerk by running away.
Yep, every item in the game that you find has a little bit of ambient mana in it. At the beginning of the game, it's not a lot, but again, like we were saying about getting to 2,500, we really do need to get every point that we can get our hands on.
Also, as characters level up, sometimes they learn new abilities, and it can really mess with the menuing that you do. That little tutorial afterwards telling me that I killed a special unit in the battle, and I can now make them. That was the blacksmith. We never used them, so.
The blacksmith lets you get some unique skills onto weapons, and we don't need any of them, so we don't make a blacksmith.
Yeah, we're going to make all the skills that we need in this run. Not that we need a ton of them, but we're going to get a handful.
Yeah, so this is the first, I guess, kind of semi-boss battle of the game. This werewolf is pretending to be someone else, but we skipped the cutscene where he did that, so we're just fighting a werewolf.
Yeah, we picked up that weed, which provides a little bit of extra speed, but mostly we want to get the witch in a better position. And that's just the quickest way to do that. So for nearly every map in this game, we need to defeat every single enemy to progress, and so we need to, that's why we need all these different characters. And right now, there's a slime there that's actually equipping the boss. If you stand on, if there's an unarmed character on top of, or unarmed anything, on top of another unarmed character, the one below will equip the one above. There's very little difference between equipment or items and actual characters. So as you can see right there, the boss is actually being equipped. Now that he's unequipped, he'll actually get a turn. And the AI is also not very smart sometimes.
Yeah, the AI is going to want to charge down weaker units, which we're going to take advantage of later on when we do get to the grind fight in this run. But for now, we're just going to use it and just hope that the werewolf sometimes bounces off of the terrain and doesn't end up killing off the witches, because we do want the chance to get the items still on this map, because we're going to need to use pretty much every turn that we have on this map to get through it.
Really lived with one life. So yeah, like the first 3 chapters of the game are kind of playing it kind of standard with units and characters, and then we kind of abuse in a system that's in the game and just it's no longer fair.
It's still pretty fun though.
Oh, it's definitely fun. It's just not fair to the game.
Well, pretty much no matter how you play it, if you're playing it correctly, you're going to be unfair to the game. And this is just the simplest way to do it, is the way we're going to do it. So that was the first episode of the game. It's episodes, not chapters, in this for some reason.
No, there are chapters too, but
Oh.
I don't think we actually see any of the transitions because they're tied to the cutscenes.
Yep. One of my favorite things in this game is that all the mail is delivered by mail spirits, basically, called bottle mail. And, you know, they are actually enemies in the game at points. We won't see any of them, though. It's fine.
There is a company that makes them, and you actually interact with them, but we skip all the cutscenes, so you never actually see them.
Yeah, and you can actually get one at the very beginning of the game, but that takes a bit of time and setup, and they are kind of good, but we don't need it for the purposes of this run.
Alright, this battle has a very important unit.
There is a fusionist there in the middle. That character, when we complete this map, well, essentially we'll have beaten the fusionist, and when you beat any human unit in the game, you can make it. So right there, the fusionist allows you to do fusions between items and characters. You can use up items and characters for fusions, and that'll let us do some pretty silly stuff later on. But for now, we're not going to use the fusionist. We still don't have the mana we need to do the broken stuff later on. So every time we are returning to this area, we're just healing up. We use some of our SP. We heal that up pretty much every time we go back, and every time we go back, we kill that poor ghost.
Yep. Yeah, he gets a real rough job in the speedrun. Normally, you wouldn't think to kill any of your own units.
Yep. In this mission, we'll also see Jerk Mushroom here, who just likes to run around and throw things off the map. I'm not really sure why or what the motivation is, but you know, it takes time up, which is annoying.
We don't actually have to beat that mushroom. It's kind of a neutral unit in a way, and so we can just ignore him. And
Yeah, anything with a yellow health bar underneath it is kind of neutral.
sometimes.
Well, they're neutral in the fact that you don't have to beat them. They're not always neutral in that they don't fight you.
Well, the very next map, there are yellow ones, and you have to beat them. But yeah, generally the yellow ones you don't have to beat. Here, this map right here isn't all that much special.
No.
We're just kind of splitting up our party from one side to another and trying to beat them in sort of a straightforward way. This next map coming up, though, is kind of dangerous, so we're going to want to save.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a safety save happening before the next one. And I actually don't want to kill this thing yet because I want to try and
Nice.
Good.
get some items. Oh, nice.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, 4 so far. That's actually really solid.
Yeah, I've definitely gone through a run and gotten exactly 0, gotten to the point where I needed them and went, whoa, what do I do now? the answer is very slow. So thankfully, we're getting the items now.
Right.
Yeah, there's a fight that we can grind to catch up a little bit coming up. But, you know, we don't want to do extra battles if we can help it. That takes time, and that's bad.
Yeah, so this is probably the first... It's not the fact that it's difficult, but, like, if a lot of these slimes don't have, you know, good weaknesses, and if the one neutral monster doesn't do what we want them to, this can be a challenging mission.
Yeah, so the boss there is Walnut, and he's kind of on a... like, he's the one red character, and then you have all these other summons that are yellow. And it's kind of like a three different factions here, and we need to have every single one of them killed, essentially. So we need to beat both Walnut and the summons here. So we want to have Walnut kill as many of the summons as possible and not our own units. And at the very beginning of this map, we saw Morona actually smack that red weed. That red weed is actually providing a protection to Walnut, making him heal every turn. So, and there are two of them on this map. So we want to get rid of both of those kind of as soon as possible.
Oh, good.
That's actually good, yeah.
Yeah, I purposely used the Berserker ability to move that the blue slime towards Walnut in the hopes that he would do something like that. I think I need to switch back here more than I need it up front right now.
Let's go.
Yeah, right now we're trying to conserve as many turns as possible because we have a limited number of them to use to be able to beat all the enemies. And that's kind of the difficulty of the game itself, is making sure you have enough turns on your phantoms to be able to complete each map.
He can't get the Walnut.
Yeah, in a casual playthrough, you can make a lot more phantoms and keep them in your party, but there's no real purpose to it because we're trying to be very focused on getting the mana on the characters and the items that we're using right now.
Come here.
Alright, I think I should be fine for this mission. Really?
Hey there.
Okay, that was barely enough. Yeah, this is kind of clinching right here.
I think there's only one slime left back here that has no health.
Oh, okay, yeah, and
And
then
I have Walnut and two witches over here. That witch is going to go away, I don't know why. And I still have Ash's final attack.
And Walnut did nothing, which is good. You would expect him to actually kill Morona right there.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't.
Don't question it. We're going to go with it at this point.
Hey there.
I think most bosses in this game also have flat zeros on their elemental resist, so... Alright.
Okay.
So yeah, that's definitely the first difficult mission, and luckily I did not have to use the save I made.
And it's also good that we got those items early on, because as items sit around on your island, they will pull up ambient mana as well. We're going to use that more later, but even that extra 12 is just nice to see.
Yeah.
Human.
Now we went into one of the first other RNG portions of this run. At the beginning of this chapter, I have to make another unit, and I need a very specific title for it to basically acts as
What do I?
an aggro sponge for the rest of my units.
But it's
Yeah, what we want is a specific title much later on, and making a really weak unit right now is going to be helpful. We're going to make a kind of I'm forgetting the English word.
It's a failure. Failure title.
Yeah, the failure title as a decoy.
Yeah, the AI tends to really like really weak characters, and the failure title drops all your stats by a massive amount. I think it's 80%.
Yep.
And so that 80% drop just, even though everyone's still pretty low level, having a level 1 character with basically single digits in every stat is really important.
Yeah, I don't care which unit gets it. I just need one of them to have it.
Yeah, and the titles do like a little bit of stat kind of changing. So the very first titles you get, which are kind of rank 1 titles, they average to 0 and don't really do that much. You can sometimes get like +5 on a stat and -5 on another stat, so you can do like +5 attack, +5% attack. That's not a whole lot, and we don't really care about it. But we're looking for some rank 0 titles, and the rank 0 titles decrease all stats, and the specific one we're looking for is the failure one. The kind of brown tinted characters have those rank 0 titles, so that's what we're kind of looking
sometimes
out
I
for.
pause on those, or I'll see them and go back and look to make sure I didn't miss it. But I'm getting really bad luck right now with this.
Yeah, this can sometimes take a little while. It's it's completely RNG what titles pop up every time, and there is no substitute for this. We can't go on without it.
Yeah, we absolutely need this title later on, and making it now is actually, like, having the weak character right now is actually pretty good.
This is... Nope, that wasn't it either, was it?
So I suppose now would be a decent time for
Yeah, if you want to get a couple donations in, if you have them,
donations or stuff.
while I look for this title.
Absolutely, happy to help. So we've got a $19 donation from Dejumbi120, which reads A B B B B B F B H I J K L M N O B Q R S B U B W X Y B. Now I know my ABBs. Next time, won't you sing with B? Thanks for that donation. We also have a $10 donation from Biospark45. For her sake, I will not fail.
Yep, that's Ash's tagline.
This is the worst luck I've had on this in a long time.
Just watching the names go by, and every time I see fond or foolish or fake, I'm really sad.
Yeah, I actually play this game in Japanese, and it's actually a lot easier because there are a lot more characters that are unique. Oh, there it is.
It's a dungeon monk.
Which is actually the worst out of all of them because he's the most expensive.
Yeah.
But,
Oops.
oh,
Let's
gonna have to
fix
revive
that.
her.
All right, now we can continue on.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to place the failure unit right here in this corner.
Let's do it.
And because all of these rabbits here, they can't one-shot any of the witches or Ash, but they can one-shot the failure unit, so they'll go right after him. And we'll use Ash's first attack to kill that little slime there, which will open up the area to the right, so the other rabbits will start coming towards us, and that just makes things more convenient. As you can see, these rabbits, even though they could attack the witches, they don't, because they really want to beat that failure unit.
They know that they can get one-shot kills, so they're beelining it across the map right into the wall of witches that we've put up, who will very happily just start, trying to, again, exploit weaknesses and cut through them as fast as possible.
Come here.
Yeah, so past that, there's nothing too special about this. We're just using all of our damage and beating them down. And we're going to be doing this map 4 times in a row because we need that that total of 2,500 mana that we've said earlier. Every time you beat an enemy, you get mana. I was a bit close there.
Just move that one slightly further away.
Yep, and mana is going to be distributed both to the character and to the item that they're equipped with. The thing is that getting too many kills with Ash can be a little bit bad as well because Ash cannot be sacrificed for mana. The mana will just sit on him and in this run do absolutely nothing for us. But on other characters, the witches can be sacrificed. They can be fused into, into other characters to take the mana and put it where we need it.
Hey there.
Yeah, so even though we're going to be doing this map 4 times, it is possible to do it 3 times, but it's kind of tight.
Ready, key?
Yeah, see at this point the failure unit is gone, so now the rabbits are actually attacking the witches, but the failure unit already did his job in preventing a lot of damage happening to our witches, so none of them died. Now we're going to heal up. And whenever you heal, sometimes the healer herself will level up. And it's just annoying, if anything. We're just only going to use the healer as out of battle healing. You can bring the healer with you,
Do it.
but we don't. She's not that strong of a unit.
Let's do it.
She ends up learning Revive, but we're not ever going to get to the point where we're going to use Revive.
Oh, great.
Well, Witch didn't die.
Yeah, but now the rabbits are going to go after her.
Yeah, you can still go with 3 witches.
There.
Yeah, the second time you do this map, this owl ninja appears. He's a neutral enemy, so he'll attack both us and the witches. He sometimes does that. He can sometimes completely outright kill that witch, so...
Yep, and there she goes.
And sometimes it just weakens it so the rabbit can do it. Really.
Hey there.
Yeah, so I'm a witch down in this one, but I should still be good enough to...
That's kind of annoying, but we should still be fine. We got all those extra item drops, so even though we didn't get the mana off of that,
Come here.
we're still quite a bit ahead.
I'm just going to kill him off now, so...
Come here.
Yeah. There's some maps that when you do them the second time, like an extra unit shows up. Usually some of the owl units, and when you do that, you can make them, but we're not actually going to be using them. For now, we're just going to be using these witches.
Owl ninjas are just not a good unit anyways, but that's neither here nor there.
I actually tried to do a run with them. The only problem I had with them is they only last 3 rounds.
Yeah, they're kind of like the witches.
Hey there.
They have a little bit more speed and a little bit more movement, which is good, but the witches are soon going to be obsolete, so that's creating a new character at level 1 at this point is just not worth it when you already have, like, what, level 6 characters? 5, 6? I forget exactly what level
I
the
think
witches
most
are.
of them are level 5 right now.
Okay.
We're hoping to get most of them about 6 by the end of this grind. So yeah, I have to do this, well, I don't have to, but for safety, and I at least have to do 1 more time, 2 more times, so it's just going to be the same thing, so it's a good time for some donations if we have them.
Let's go.
We have a $10 donation from Dollar Stored.
Let's do it.
You'll go further. For Nami's sake, I cannot fail.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Just as a reminder, like you can go and donate towards prize incentives that we have. For this particular block of games, we currently have a set of 2 card wallets that you can get yourself entered into the drawing for a $5 donation. A set of 2 rubber keychains for a $5 donation as well. A set of 4 acrylic keychains for $5. A Xenoblade Chronicles 2 art print for $10. And a plush Mandragora for a $10 donation as well. I believe you can see pictures of all of those on the donation tracker, so if you're interested in seeing what's available, check us out on rpglimitbreak.com.
And I don't think I mentioned this before, but the weapon that we got on Ash comes with the skill Berserker, and essentially it's just an AoE skill that we have that works as lets us hit multiple enemies at a time. That's pretty much the entire reason why we get that weapon, and it's cheap to buy. We don't really need the extra stats on these weapons, though later on the extra stats on weapons will be very important.
Yeah, we'll talk a lot about shopping percent once shopping percent kicks in.
Oh, nice.
Hey there.
Not gonna make it. Alright, last rabbit, and then 1 more time, and then we can continue on. And then pretty soon we'll get to the point where we're gonna kind of break this game open a little.
We still got a few more maps to go, but
Yeah, pretty
it'll
soon.
come. Yeah.
Including the one map that is notorious for killing runs in this particular game.
Let's go.
I feel like the one that kills the most runs is the Walnut map, and we're already past that one.
Yeah, the one coming up is also pretty bad because again, it's another one that really pushes you to the limits of your witch's time on the map. So bad rolls or bad attacks can really mess up your timing, and you'll fall just a little bit short on damage.
Are you talking about 3-3?
I'm talking about 3-3.
Okay. Yeah, we have a little bit of a safety strat for that, so it's probably not going to be too bad. And doing this little extra grind here also makes it more consistent. We choose this map for the grind. Like, these rabbits are getting a little bit of extra, giving a little bit of extra EXP and mana, and that's helpful. They're not the highest level things that we could fight before we need to have the 2500 mana, but it's just overall both really safe and pretty efficient.
Yeah, and it does help out for the next couple missions to make sure you have the damage to get through them as well. Like, that was not supposed to be a double last time.
Yeah, you can actually hit multiple characters with these magic attacks, and typically you actually don't want to do that because the damage is going to be a little diluted. It's not actually just 50% on both, but it is diluted a little bit, and we want to one-shot if possible, and that little bit of dilution is going to just turn it into a two-shot.
And you can see all those flowers that we've been getting have been sitting in the sun and gathering up mana. So things are getting a lot better in terms of getting to 2500 efficiently now.
Oh yeah, I have plenty of items this time.
Yeah, so we're going to equip one of those weeds that we got, which will increase Morona's speed. If that didn't happen, we could actually pick this weed up right here, but because the AI movement is really weird, you have to. It takes a little bit more time, so we just take one that we usually have at this point and just equip it. And on the next map, we want to have a weed equipped for the extra speed anyway. Yeah, so if we didn't equip that weed, Morona's second turn would have been after those 4 bunnies that we hit earlier. So, like those 4 bunnies we hit at the very beginning with Berserker, to do quite a bit of damage there on all 4 of them. And you see those rabbits on the top there? Every single turn they level up. They receive a kind of protection from that old man up there that doesn't ever get a turn. There are some humans on some maps that don't ever get turns. We could beat that old man and make one ourselves, but we don't really want him.
And we're totally not going to do anything with that level up.
No, there's totally not something totally broken with that level up thing.
Yeah, I mean they're still only like level 5 anyway. That's nothing. They're not any different than like level 4 for how much mana and experience we're getting from them.
Nope.
Yeah, if you can't tell, we're going to be coming back here later because of those rabbits right there. But we don't have everything set up yet, so we're just going to continue on with the story.
Which is a shame because he's almost perfectly set up. What is this rabbit doing?
I just survived.
Hey there.
Alright.
So right here, we're going to do a bit of a safety strategy. We're going to take Ash's weapon and equip it onto another character, in this case, a merchant, that we were given at the very beginning of the game. So at the very beginning, we're going to confine a whole bunch of weak characters that we've never really brought. So they're all like level 1, level 2. And they will be the decoys, so we're trying to funnel all of the rabbits towards that one spot. Right now, he's just looking at the resistances and trying to figure out which attack is the best to use.
Yeah, and the major thing is that we do use 2 units here instead of 1, because if the first one dies, then the funnel effect ends, as you saw on the other map earlier. And we definitely do not want that to happen, because we need all of these enemies coming in as fast as possible.
And you have this yellow unit up here. That guy there is the Titleist. He needs to die. It doesn't matter if the enemy kills them or we kill him, but he needs to die. Because once he dies, we are able to make the Titleist. And the Titleist is one of those special units that lets you do that lets you change the titles of items and characters, and that is very important.
Yep, we're not going to have Tier 1 and Tier 0 titles forever. We are going to get higher tier titles that need to be on specific characters later.
And those little slimes there actually provide protection to the Manticore, which will... Well, it's not technically protection, it's it will decrease its stats, but if it dies, it'll lose that protection, so those slimes dying actually make the Manticore hard to kill. And even though this is the kind of last map of this episode, that Manticore is technically not a boss, even though it's kind of like a boss. It's got like the stats of a boss, so what we're going to do is Ash here doesn't have a weapon, so he's going to immediately go.
I just can't reach.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to lift this Manticore up, just throw him off the stage.
There we go. Don't have to deal with him anymore.
We don't do that in a lot of other points because that increases the level of all the other enemies, and that usually ends up not working out very well. But in this case, because it was kind of a boss level enemy that can be really hard to beat, we just, for safety, we just kind of...
I wonder. No.
No. Yeah, for safety, we just throw him off the stage. And you can't throw the last unit off of the stage, so you can't just do that for every single enemy. But you can do it for some of them.
Do I feel safe? Yes.
Yeah, we had one extra witch kind of in reserve. So, like, if the rabbit's back there, if we couldn't beat them with the witches we had, we would...
Whatever, Ash can just pick it up.
Yeah. So now we have Ash's weapon back again that we got from the merchant that we just equipped later. The reason why we have to do that unequipping is because you can only throw once per turn. Okay, Morona survived, which... I mean, you have all your phantoms confined, so it doesn't matter that much if she dies.
I have the healer still.
Yeah. And Morona can heal. She does end up learning Revive, although we never actually get enough SP for her to use Revive.
No, yeah, like the characters kind of power up by using their moves, and like the certain moves they use, they get kind of like points in that.
It's kind of a weird system with how the SP works.
Yeah, and every ability has a different SP cost. All of the basic ones are 0. And then all of the more powerful ones, it just increases. It's another reason why Ash using a sword is important here for a skill later.
Yep, so that is episode 3 done, and we're almost to the point where we have a total of 2,500 mana. We might have it at this point, but there are like a couple of prologue stages for episode 4 coming up, and those are pretty easy to do, so we're just going to go ahead and do them. And then we'll get to sort of the grind, which will power us up quite a bit. And you can tell with the time, we're getting, we'll get pretty close to an hour after we've completed about 3 episodes. And in the game, there are about 18 episodes.
It's actually 20.
Yeah, technically 20, but the 18th has like this weird... Like, you're still on the same area, but it's between 3 episodes. Yeah, so this is the kind of prologue thing,
Let's go.
and we have to do this map twice no matter what. So it's just gonna happen twice. There's not much that's really special about it.
No, just a couple of these slimes that are attacking this island. We were asked to come help because she's actually what they call a chroma, and they just kind of do like odd jobs and stuff for people. Though she's not very well liked, but we don't actually see any of those cutscenes. So
Yeah, again, it's really sad that nobody likes Morona because she just wants to help everybody, and she's fantastic. It's just because she has weird powers, no one likes her.
And she's possessed by phantoms, and because of that, everyone is afraid of her, and they don't like her. So the story has a lot of little discrimination things going on with that, and it's kind of sad, but we don't really see a whole lot of that.
She'll get her revenge later.
she gets angry about it.
Right, in a casual playthrough, you just, you keep training up your phantoms so that you can use them to continue doing the job of helping the people and all of that. That's not going to happen today.
So yeah, there's a cutscene we skipped there. They just basically said, "Oh no, there's more enemies coming. Gotta fight them again."
Let's do it.
So that's what we're doing, and we have to do this.
Except this time they're more annoying.
Yeah, they're annoying. They're not more difficult. They're just annoying because they like to try and steal your weapons. And because we end up generating more mana when we steal with a weapon equipped, or not steal, when we defeat an enemy with a weapon equipped, having a weapon stolen is just annoying. And they missed twice, which is good.
Ah,
Dang.
oh, he threw it off the map too.
It's still fine, though. We can sort of borrow another witch's book, and that works just as well. It's just annoying.
Yeah. So luckily, you have a 100% chance to steal from your own units.
It's not stealing, it's borrowing.
Sure. Oh, come on. Not necessary. Which one of you have the book? That one.
Yeah, if you go over and you attempt to lift the one that doesn't have the book, you'll just pick them up.
I'll take this book this time. Alrighty.
Alright, so right there you have episode 4, and instead of continuing on with the story, we are going to do quite a bit of setup here.
Oh, I'm going to need the merchant's name, and then the fighter's name will be in a few minutes after this.
All right, so it looks like the merchant's name will go and be B with an exclamation mark. So a capital B with an exclamation
that's the
mark.
dungeon monk.
That is a dungeon monk. That's
At,
not what I want.
$194 to win that race.
So B.
The exclamation
Point.
B. And we give all of those bonus points we spent money on into health. That's very important for this character.
Yep. So now we will make a fusionist, just so we can do some fusing and some titleists. So the titleist, alongside being able to change titles, he has a unique skill. He comes with a unique skill called Big Bang. So Big Bang, when they're confined, they will do some amount of damage around them based off of their current HP. When you confine them. So, and that actually goes through defense.
So B is now going to eat all of our weapons and like the books and that's the book itself.
Yeah, so we're going to fuse all of the weapons that we've been using onto our merchant B. Because we want to fuse that skill Big Bang onto the merchant. So that merchant will, when confined, will do some amount of damage, and because she's level 1, she'll end up doing like 12 damage with Big Bang.
I was going to keep the level 1 bush.
But that's enough.
Yeah.
We only need 12 damage. Yeah, so right now we got 2,100 mana on this merchant.
I mean, that's pretty good, honestly. All things
Yeah.
considered, this might only be one witch that needs to go.
No, it's going to be just barely 2, I believe.
Yeah, it's going to be barely 2.
Yeah. I mean, I could work around and not use 2, but there's no point, really.
Yeah, they're...
You could move around the failure title,
Yeah.
but eh.
Yeah, the other important thing is we got a max level on the merchant of it was 131. We only need 127 to pretty much do what we want. But
Yeah, so we're going to...
oh, I need to go for backup money. Backup
Yeah,
money.
there are a few other spots here that you can get money, and then one on the top corner here. The reason why we didn't have enough money was probably because of the dungeon monk.
And the one time I hit Morona.
Yeah, that cost a little bit of money.
Okay, I'm gonna go for Ash's weapon here first. That'll do.
And then
Perfect.
we're going to use the witches. We only have 2 witches left, and we're going to use them one more time. So we have 2 witches left. We had to take 2 of them out to get to a total of 2,500 mana onto that. Did you get Big Bang?
No, I did not. Yeah, the very important thing that you need to do. No, I didn't do that one.
the thing that makes the run go.
Yeah, there we
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
Let's save.
Yeah, this can go wrong, so we will definitely save for this.
And when it goes wrong fairly spectacularly, so we don't want to see that happen.
So yeah, I'm back on that mission that we had those rabbits that level up. When I said we weren't going to do anything with them, I was definitely lied.
So essentially we're going to do this map again, and we've made a few extra title lists because they come with Big Bang, and they do about 8 damage with their Big Bang, and that just lets us fix the HP values on the rabbits just right. So those 2 rabbits up there that have that level up, that will level up every turn, we want one of them to be within 12 HP. We have 2 of them that we can work with, but no, too high.
And we want one of them to be absolutely very dead.
I mean, if you get both of them at 12 within 12 HP, you can just kill the other one, so it's not that big of a deal.
Oh wow, these actually lined up perfectly for once.
Got the 2-shot on all of them. That's good.
Nice.
All right, what do you have? That is the worst. Okay, I'm going to try a co-op on this one. No, way too much.
So what's going to happen is the level up sound is going to be pretty loud, and so we might want to have that the volume decreased overall on the stream because it's going to be pretty loud.
Some people love that sound.
I love that sound. It's really, this is like the best part of the run.
Maybe decrease it a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so I need this. Wait, this one. That is
Yeah,
not,
the one with the
that is
one above it.
That is awful.
I'm gonna have to do this with weird ice and
Hey there.
Did you kill the other one? You did.
yeah. I might need Morona to do some stuff here.
Yeah, you can use the weed to attack with.
This one could just go away. But
Maybe you could do a flap.
I know. I would need it to level up a couple more times to do that,
Oh, yeah.
just so it gets some more defense.
Yeah, so normally when characters level up, they increase their HP with the amount of
don't
max
know.
HP they increase. I would probably just wait another turn
And thwap it.
and flap it. It's not going to level up again, so I think you just have to...
I have to do this the slow way.
Oh, that's not good.
I think you have to either flap it or hit with Morona.
Which one does more damage?
Dryad Lash is wind. Grass Shot is non-elemental. That... I think that... My guess is that won't kill. If not, we can reload our save.
That's
actually
perfect.
really good.
No,
Perfect.
Perfect. All right, now Marona's going to run away. Her job is done, almost.
I've never actually had Morona be the savior for that before, like, in that way. Now, don't go after Morona.
Oh no.
Oh.
I'm gonna have to run the opposite way that I normally do.
Yeah, that's still okay. And you can't. I would run away.
Yeah.
To the left and heal herself.
Yeah.
You might be able to run the failure unit in if it gets a turn.
We want to get to the rock if possible. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Just
Just give him some bait. Because now I should be able to get away from it. Alright, run away!
yeah, and then it's going to attack the kind of weapons that are left over there that are ours, and that's fine. We can have that weapon removed. So now we're going to equip that rock because it actually decreases Morona's speed. So she will get fewer turns. Sounds weird, but you'll see.
We're also going to need that rock to for confining after as well, so having it on hand is going to be useful.
I hope you guys like this level up sound.
Here we go.
You're going to be hearing it a lot.
Yeah, we're going to be hearing this level up sound a few thousand times. That's not an exaggeration.
Yep, but as the stats go up, the big thing is that you'll see that all the stats will go up on this bunny. And as the speed gets higher and higher, the bunny is getting more relative turns compared to Morona. So every turn gets 1 level. And now, we're up to about 10 per at this point, and it will start going absolutely berserk in a minute.
Yeah. So we don't actually use glitches in this game, but we definitely abuse something they give us.
I mean,
Yeah, this rabbit is content to just level up. It thinks it's perfectly safe just sitting there and going to absurd levels. So we're going to be seeing this for about... How long does this go? Like 5 minutes?
It's like 3 or 4. On
3 or 4? Okay.
It was like 7 on the PlayStation version.
oh god, yeah, that was real slow.
Yeah, the original release of this was on PS2, and this continuous level up actually lagged out the game.
Yeah, I definitely tested this on the stream PC when I got here.
Yeah, I think on your PC it actually...
Yeah, streaming. Yeah, streaming this game on a single PC is a pain when you're running OBS also because it chugs.
The audio tech is loving this. By the way.
It's great, but it's also loud.
We're probably only at about 1,500 right now.
Yeah, we still have a little ways to go yet.
But as you can see, it's getting a lot of turns in between. So what is it at right now? Yeah, it's just over 2,000.
Yeah, 2,000, about halfway there.
Yeah, we're starting to get into the realm of like 70 to 80 per each now, so we're not long now.
Oh, it's getting like 400 turns per one of mine right now.
80, 400. We still need to get to 4,000.
Yeah. So yeah, even though this thing is leveling up and getting stats, it's gaining defense, which you might think, how am I going to kill this? Luckily, that Big Bang ability penetrates defense. So that's why we got it to a low health value before we let it level up.
Yep, and it doesn't ever gain any maximum health from doing this, and you can see that the bar down there, there is no life bar on the end of it because it's such a small proportion to the maximum health right now. But rest assured, it's still alive, and it's still sitting there at exactly 9 hit points.
Only 1 or 2 more of these.
This speedrun brought to you by Level Up Chime.
Good music. This game has a really good soundtrack.
Yeah, the Tenpei Sato soundtracks are all really good.
What are you at? 40.
4,300. That's
No, one more.
one more.
The actual experience doesn't matter for 1 more. What this is going to do is get me a little more money to work with in case I use too much. But
in case you get incredibly lucky on your shopping.
Yes.
Bunny, please.
So yeah, like before this point, I used all of my money to power up my merchant, buy items, and like get stuff. I had like just over 2,000 of the boar, which is the unit of money in this game.
That's good.
That wasn't good.
Yeah, it was.
It was like beside it to a little extent. All right, where am I?
Yeah, so
There
that
we
rock
go.
will kind of bounce. So it's that rock. We will confine
All
the
right, B.
merchant.
So B is level 1.
B is no longer level 1.
So
B is
there
now-
is 16 million. B is now level 132.
And we did that specifically on a merchant because that lets us buy some really high-end equipment here. So what we're looking for here, go ahead and turn the sound back up, by the way. We're not going to hear that.
Ever again.
So right here, we're looking for 6 titles and 5 weapons. The titles we're looking for are 3 chief titles, 1 atomic, and 2 sun. So the chief titles will increase the stats of whatever it's titled on by the attack and speed by 50%. So we're going to have that on our weapons. That's atomic.
I just couldn't remember if I bought an atomic already.
And you've got plenty of money. It should be fine.
Yeah.
Morona does not need to do odd jobs anymore. She's wealthy beyond the dreams of avarice at this point.
Although the funny thing is, like the storyline right after this is them talking about how they're going to get 50,000 money to buy this island, and they really need that money. I could buy this island like many times over right
Yeah.
now.
Yep. The weapons that we're looking for, by the way, is Khobahi already bought a bronze dagger, which will give us the groundbreaker ability, which is a much bigger AoE. So we want a couple of those, and we need dark weapons. Dark weapons greatly decrease your defensive stats, your defense and your resistance, but they give a massive amount of attack and speed. So if you combine that with the chief title, which gives you a massive amount of attack and speed, you can kind of imagine where this one's going.
And all of this menuing right here is completely random. So you see him kind of pause there at every time he's looking. It's because we need to pick out exactly every little thing that we need.
I know Khobahi mentioned that he was looking for a level 150 plus dark weapon for Morona, a pair of around level 100 plus for the other 2 characters that will get dark weapons. I think there was one that was, what, 151 that he got just now?
No, it was 134. It was the highest.
Uh.
I bought a 99 because I can use that for the merchant. It's just not
Not optimal.
ideal.
And we will be making the fighter once we're done with this
Yeah.
shopping. So,
So, yeah,
the
probably-
incentive on that will have to be closed.
I'm also having no luck with chief titles.
Yeah, in practice, Khobahi saw a level 229 weapon, which was absolutely stellar, but also will never happen again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what the chief titles are for. So the atomic title increases attack by 50% and HP by 50%, and we're going to put that on the merchant. So the merchant will have both extra physical damage and big bang damage. That big bang skill we had, it's going to do quite a bit of damage, and it has basically no specific animation time, and it's also an AoE skill, so it's pretty quick to use.
Yeah, so a lot of fights will get ended by Morona throwing her dark weapon at a cluster of enemies and then just getting them all detonated in one shot, which will speed things up immensely.
At this point, I just want the chief titles. I can do it with that 130 weapon.
Yeah, and then the sun titles are a little bit. It's a little bit different. The sun title increases the physical proficiency. Oh, that was a 116 dark weapon.
Yeah, but I just bought a 140 something as well. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It'll increase the physical proficiency, so we'll put that on Morona and the fighter, so that will increase the amount of times they can use Groundbreaker, which is both an efficient and big, large range AoE skill.
The bottom encyclopedia, you missed it.
Yeah, the encyclopedia had a
Chief
sheet.
title.
There was one there too. The problem was trying to do this fast.
Yeah. When you have all the time in the world to read, it's easy.
Yeah, when you're trying to do it as a speed run, it's...
And of course, Khobahi is still grabbing other high-level weapons as well. So, like, if there's a higher-level dark weapon, just having the other one is going to be fine because we're going to need them later for more fusion once we get to, the later chapters of the game.
Yeah, buying these extra weapons is perfectly fine. We do need to, once we're done with all this, we're going to be buying a whole bunch of extra attack items.
All right, one more.
And those weapons will just be sitting on the island, just sitting there like solar panels, gaining mana every single time. Because when you complete a stage, every single stage you complete with an item that you didn't bring, that will increase, or they will gather mana based off of the level. So now Khobahi has everything he needs, so he's just going to buy a whole bunch of attack weapons.
Yep.
Preferably higher level ones.
They get more mana. And we also, when we use them for powering up, because they have higher base stats, we'll get more out of them as well. So we want to make sure that we're getting good weapons here for later.
And we're just pretty much going to spend the rest of our money on that. Because once we're done with this shopping, we don't need money anymore ever. Except, I guess, to make the fighter, but whatever.
We have way more than enough. to
Yeah,
make
we have
that
more
fight.
than enough for that.
Yeah, and 50 large to buy the island, but I think we're good on that front too.
There we go. So we're going to actually create 2 fighters here. The first one doesn't matter.
So the number of bonus points that you can put onto your characters depends on the level max, the max level of the highest level character of that class you have. With 0, it's 3, and with 1, it's 9.
So I'm going to need the
Fighter.
fighter's name now.
So with $55.45, the fighter will be named Mikey. Mikey.
All right, Mikey has joined the battle. And we're going to put all of those points we spent money on into speed. All
Right. What those stats do, by the way, and this is more of for the casual playthroughs, is that it increases your stat growth in that particular stat. So we do want to get as much speed as possible on our characters because it gets multiplied by the titles. It'll get added on by the weapons. So it'll really just help out our party immensely in terms of getting as many turns as possible where the enemies will not be getting turns.
So yeah, I grabbed my 3 highest level dark weapons that I got there as well, and I'll be using those for my characters as well as these other titles that I picked up.
Yeah, so if you notice, we banished a couple of weapons there. That was to whenever you banish an item, you just obtain that title, and it increases the number of titles you have. You don't want to delete any titles.
No.
Yeah, you need them for exchanging titles for other things as well.
Yeah, it just gives you more spaces to work with, and we only really need 6 spaces.
All right. So now Morona gets the highest level weapon. The fighter gets
Merchant.
Merchant gets the lowest, and the fighter gets the next one. So, one thing you might have noticed, like when I was playing this before, I was doing, anywhere from, 20 to 80 damage, depending.
Yeah.
You occasionally broke the 100 damage.
Yeah. Yeah, if I got really good resistances, I broke 100 damage. That's going to change.
So we're going to see Morona's face on the right.
So,
a
Morona,
lot.
this little girl that, she has a lot of toads. This little girl that usually doesn't do much damage is now a straight-up killing machine.
Yep. And so she is just going to go ahead and start taking her revenge on all of her enemies with this dark weapon, which is increasing her speed to amazing levels. She has 1 defense right now, so if she gets hit, it's probably bad times, but she's not going to get hit.
And that merchant has a lot of health now, so that explosion does a little more than 12 damage.
Yep. So those 2 ghosts up there, we can't actually... They're too high for us to hit. So we're going to kill everything else and then wait for those ghosts to get a turn. We're going to be out of range so Morona doesn't get hit. If she gets hit, she probably won't die. She has enough HP, but she has no defense at all.
They can also try and steal your weapon.
Yeah, that's true.
That would be catastrophic, of course.
Yeah.
Then they will have all of these turns.
Yeah, things stealing your weapon are a lot more dangerous now. There's only a couple points where it really matters, but if it happens, it's really bad. So I'll move Morona over here. Still have a couple extra turns to work with.
And now that they're down here, they're also going to get their comeuppance, and
Yeah, so we're going to...
Do it.
That was technically the wrong character, but that's whatever.
No, I do the fighter first on purpose now.
Oh, okay.
It gets him in damage range for like a dragon later that you make sure you one-shot.
So what he did there is we confined a character onto this like level 130-ish dark weapon. Whenever you complete a stage, you get bonus experience based off of the level of the item that you confine the Phantom to. And because it was level 130, that was quite a bit of EXP. And because that fighter was level 1,
Let's do it.
This time B gets to finish the job here again.
Let's do it.
got quite a few levels, like 28 levels.
25, 28 levels.
Yeah,
like-
something like that.
yep. One of the things the Fusionist gets as she levels up is that it decreases the cost of fusion. This will matter a great deal later.
Technically, what it is it if the fusion levels are too high, then the cost will be increased. So we increase the level of the fusionist so you don't get that kind of tax,
Let's go.
that fusion tax.
Well, today I learned.
I mean, it's very similar.
Yeah, but it's still pretty neat, and it's necessary to get some levels on the Fusionist, just because there will be one more round of fusing coming up a little bit later.
And then, yeah, we use Mikey to kind of clean up things while we work on things on other parts of the map. And then B always comes in with a bang. Oh.
Just out of range.
Oh no.
I'm actually just going to wait a turn. Makes it so much easier.
The big challenge of the second half of the speed run here is just there are so many maps that we're going to go through, and Khobahi makes it look really easy. He's just churning through all of these enemies, but that's just from having built up a knowledge of where everything is on every map that needs to die and what's the quickest way to get it done. I know that you did a lot with that with the routing to Pink Pajamas in terms of getting everything together, so we don't waste any time on these maps because there are sometimes enemies in really remote locations that we need to get to quickly.
Yeah, that's why we're using 3 characters instead of just Morona, because sometimes we want to separate our characters in different areas. If all of the maps were just straight up linear and Morona had basically infinite amount of speed, then we would only use solo Morona, but that's not always the fastest thing. So right here, there's this little circle of cats, and we just use the Big Bang, and then Merchant will take care of it.
If you get a perfect throw, you only have to deal with 2 of these at the end, but it's still speedy.
Yeah. So now this is episode 5 that we're going through.
Yep.
It'll take like 2 minutes.
Yeah, this is one of those fairly linear maps. We're going to try and get through the conga line as fast as we can here.
The reason why solo Morona can be pretty quick, because if you change turns to another character, you don't want to.
Yeah, don't do that.
If you change turns to another character, then it takes about 1 second to move to that character's turn. But if it's just the same character, there's no delay whatsoever. And it's just a little optimization, but over the course of a really long time, that adds up. And right there, we use the Big Bang to kill 3 of them at a time, and then have the Merchant take out the rest. Merchant has 4 turns before it leaves. It has a remove stat of 4.
Yeah, although these, like the B and Mikey, have these amazing weapons, and Mikey's actually probably stronger than Morona because he's actually a fighter, and the Merchant's stronger because it's level 132. They don't last long enough to be able to just like summon them instantly and kind of let them go off and do what Morona's doing right now. So.
Yeah, Morona's the only thing in the game that exists that will never leave the battlefield unless killed.
Yeah, she's pretty much, from the Disgaea games, she is the base panel.
Let's do it.
Another thing there, like, Morona was actually not going to get the next turn there. But then I bring out one of my 2 units, or sometimes later a unit with the first strike ability that Ash has. And it kind of changes up the battle order and gives you more turns to work with.
It's kind of a weird bug in a way, but where you kind of get more turns. With more turns, it's weird. Also, this map is slippery for some reason.
It's a hill. You slide down hills.
Yeah, maps have their own stats as well, basically. There's some that are bouncy, so that when you throw your items, they go further. Some are slippery, so that you slide around, and then there's ice physics.
Yeah, this map actually has ice physics. We haven't seen it at all. Show it off.
We. You actually have to do that. You can't get in range of that zombie.
These last two go out with a bang.
B gets to deal with.
And that was episode 5.
And our items are sitting there soaking up the sun, gaining mana. We know that they're gaining mana. We're not going to go through all of them. We don't have to. We're going to get more bottle mail.
Yeah, every time you go to the island, you get like a little status of what happens. And right now, a lot of things are happening because I have many items on the island.
So at this part of the game, Marona's trying to help her best friend out because, you know, Marona does have one friend. There's a girl in a wheelchair. I forget her name.
Castile.
Yeah.
She's a sweetheart. We like her. We also won't see her until the end of the game.
It's actually funny because in the storyline, Marona talks about how she has to work harder to protect Castile, and that's the exact point in the game where you turn Marona into a godless killing machine.
She gets the job done.
Here you go.
Yeah, after getting all that money, she needed something new to work for.
Yeah, and one of the other things with using the merchant early, you get enough experience and its one ability to use that
That skill called profit bonus.
yeah.
It
You can get
It's
to the-
basically a big AoE skill that the merchant naturally has. Merchants don't normally have that great of physical attack stats, but that weapon's pretty good.
and 130 levels don't hurt.
Yeah.
It's all right, I guess.
So this map will just spiral around, and because we can finish it with a merchant that's already on the map, we are going to confine our fusionist for a little bit of extra levels, and
And then B gets to blow up a line.
then we'll get extra levels on that fusionist, so we don't have that sort of fusion penalty later on.
Yeah, when you're trying to fuse like level 100 plus weapons, that penalty can get, you know, it costs a lot to do those fusions.
Yeah, just another one of those levels where, even though Marona could probably go around and kill most of the things, I think it's a little faster too.
The thing is, these Fenrir's have a lot of speed. They're very high-speed characters, so they'll end up getting a turn if you don't bring other characters.
Yeah.
So that's why we bring multiple characters. And beating those Fenrir's is actually kind of important. We have to do it anyway, but when you defeat 10 of any, or not 10, 20 of any animal, or any non-human unit in the game, you're able to make it. And we want to be able to make Fenrir's later. We don't need them to be leveled at all, we just need them to exist, just a few of them.
Yeah.
They have the first strike skill like Ash does.
And we do need that for a couple of fights in particular, including the last one.
Yeah, a lot of these maps come down to optimizations, but
That was the wrong unit. Whatever.
that's fine. Looked like the right unit to me. Oh, was that supposed to be
That's
the
supposed to be
fighter?
the fighter.
Okay. Yeah, that's why, because the merchant has a little less movement.
Whatever. Doesn't matter that much.
Yeah, just a couple of extra turns. Might want to bring the fighter in a little early on some other map.
Well, no, because I got it the extra levels already.
You got the physical levels? The physical SP is what we're looking for.
Yeah, he should be fine without just that.
Okay. Yeah, we don't need to use the fighter all that much to get enough charges of Groundbreaker.
Speaking of,
Yeah, speaking of, we're going to do some fusions.
Bronze Daggers.
Those bronze daggers we made earlier, we now have enough mana to just straight up learn Groundbreaker on those characters, and we've got enough SP that we can use them a couple of times. And we will start seeing some AoE skills with Groundbreaker. Groundbreaker is really big. And it costs 9 SP to use, which is actually not that big.
I did it an episode early, but it didn't matter. I had enough mana.
I mean, it's done now. It's good.
Yeah.
Actually, don't know if there's anywhere useful to use it in this chapter.
Maybe. Yeah, this stage is simple enough that we just solo Morona.
It's a fairly small battlefield compared to a lot of the ones that we see. So, you know, it's just good to just send her out there at that point.
Yeah, at this point, she's actually trying to get the island. This is the one where she needs the money and also to do a small job. We're trying to get a rainbow bird. We're trying to get it on the island of evil because that's, of course, where a rainbow bird would be.
Why are we sending a small child to the Isle of Evil? That seems mean.
I mean, all these people that I'm fighting in this map are actually other, like, merchant guild things. And they're also trying to get the
Let's go.
rainbow bird, but...
Combine.
they stand no chance to Morona.
Mostly Morona's weapon
Yeah.
that she bought with money. Behold the power of money.
Rabbits have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Wait, isn't Octopath later in the marathon, though?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Here you go.
Yeah, that wizard guy there is actually the leader of one of the armies, and he just summons a whole bunch of undead to fight
Yeah,
for him.
that was a mini boss right there. So the sort of mega bonus skill that we're using, those AoE skills, actually cost SP, but the SP is routed out so that we can just use them on specific areas, and it just all works out. This is all just an optimization routing
Yep.
exercise at this point.
Yeah, we get a full heal at the start of every chapter, which is basically once we finish up any cluster of maps, you'll see that we have to go back to the main island, but that's the end of a chapter, and so we'll get a full heal every single time we do that.
So this is a boss here. We technically don't have to beat this boss. Morona herself can't actually beat this boss, but beating the boss lets you skip this cutscene, so it's faster.
Yeah. So we let B do the work. Mm-hmm. And then this is another boss, but Morona can.
Yeah,
deal
you
all
actually
that.
have to kill one again, and that's easy. And that was episode 7.
This is where I'd normally do the groundbreaker, but I did it a little early because I had the mana to do it. So.
When we were talking about it.
Alrighty.
Oh,
Really?
he's me.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
So-
she got a message from Count Malt, who is like the only person that's hired her who's been nice to her at this point. So we're gonna help him out.
And now we're going to an ice island, which has ice physics in a tactics RPG.
Yeah.
It's actually fun.
It's eminently abusable as well, you know, because you get limited movement, but you know you move 5 units and end up going like 45. Also, you'll notice that when you use the attack command, you pull up perfectly to the side of the target and just stop. So we're going to take advantage of that as well. to
Also,
just
if you
keep
target an
swings in.
AoE, you can move with it, and the ice physics don't affect you at all anymore.
So here's Groundbreaker. It's pretty good.
Combine.
So yeah,
We're using this AoE skill just as
movement.
a ranged skill. That when you confine to that item, you actually lose ice physics for some reason. Also, if you fall off, you just, with the character you're controlling, you just get taken right back up.
Let's do it.
So here, those yellow things are just an unmovable zone. And you would normally have to take out that fish up there. Oh, nice. You normally have to take out the fish kind of in the middle of the map to be able to get to that area. But instead, we're just going to confine Ash and,
Luckily, things you throw also
Throw.
have ice physics.
yeah.
Ugh.
So we're trying to slide our weapon into the corner there.
I want to move over here.
Yeah, this throw is really precise to slide it in behind, because we want to be able to big bang the things on both sides of the wall.
This should be good enough.
Do it.
Ooh.
You can,
I'm fine. I know what I'm
yeah,
doing.
you can probably just go around.
Let's go.
Yeah, so typically you just want to get into the very corner there, and then this enemy will be left, and then there's one more enemy on the other side, and that's pretty much the entire map. So the fighter is actually confined to the item that gives the unmovable zone, but because it's just in such a convenient position, we actually use that to confine one of our characters to instead of getting rid of it.
Yeah, I had to do a heal there. One, it gets Mona a Groundbreaker back for this map, and then it also, I had to use that merchant's. Wow, that was weird. I used that merchant's AoE to kind of deal with that one mob that didn't.
Yeah, ice physics can be kind of tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, and attacking is kind of weird because if you're too close to a unit, there's a little gap between your character and the attack cylinder, so you can actually not get an attack in if you're right on top of an enemy.
Yeah, so there's actually a dead human unit there that you could revive and they'll help you, but we don't need help.
Let's go.
We actually ended up getting rid of its corpse because it was in the way.
Fine.
Giving it a proper ice field burial.
Here we see Mega Bonus being good again.
Here you go.
Yeah, the animation for Groundbreaker is a little longer, but that's why.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, it's not. There are some attacks in this game that take like 30 seconds to execute the entire attack.
Also, we got a hard boss coming up.
I mean, Scarlet the Brave couldn't beat this thing.
No, really hard. Yo, good job.
The hardest part of that boss is skipping the cutscene after it.
The hardest part of every boss is skipping the cutscene afterwards.
This was
Oh, we're gonna get a whole bunch of cutscenes in a row here, so now would be a good time for donations if we have any.
Raphael.
no.
You got it. So we've got a $10 donation from Heropone Thrawn. No comment, but thank you so much for that donation. And then from Professor Ness, we've got a $10 donation. Let's do it. Let's go. Confine.
Yeah, those voice lines are actually added in with the second version of the game. The PS2 version doesn't have the sort of loud, like, confine or anything that happens whenever they do get confined. It's just a little thing.
I played the game once with the Japanese audio. It is actually way more terrified when she summons a whole bunch of units.
That was a really cool run, though.
So here we want to, there are like two different sections, and
do it.
so we're having our fighter over there just take care of everything, and then Morona and the merchant will take care of everything on the right. So you can see being able to have AoE at this point is really helpful. Makes things go a lot faster.
Yeah, we get to see Ash again.
Do it.
Yeah, we get to see Ash do something. Just throw a slime off the cliff. Good job, Ash.
Useful.
Morona loves Ash and does not want him to come to harm.
And then B gets to finish the job.
And then we see that werewolf again that was in the first stage. He's back.
And he's angry now, too.
Yeah, I did not know it was the same werewolf until a couple weeks ago. I ran this game speedrunning it the first time. I've never actually casually played it, and I actually did a run watching all of the cutscenes. It adds like 4 hours to the run. There's a lot of cutscenes in this game.
Yeah, but then you know all of the characters' motivations and why Morona is so sad all the time.
Oh yeah, it's a very sad game. But
And this is why Morona has to get her revenge.
And then we're going to fight the werewolf again. This time, Raphael is going to help us
Oh,
as
yeah.
much as he can. So there are, I think, 3 items on this map that actually provide invincibility to the boss, so we are going to deal with those three. So one of these is cactus, throw it off the stage. Don't need to throw this off the stage, you can just attack it. And then the last one is way up there, and we are going to use Merchant Big Bang.
That might be too far. Oh,
No, it's fine. It's really close, actually.
Yeah. So yeah, the reason Raphael's actually in this mission is this werewolf's actually pretending to be Raphael.
And Raphael doesn't like that. You know, Raphael cares about one person in this world.
I think this is the one where we get
Yeah,
a double
this-
cutscene.
This is the double cutscene.
So if you have any more donations, go ahead.
How could you're
We've got a couple donations with no comment. We have a $50 donation from Cult,
probably
and we also have a $45 45-cent donation from Ryguy 3745.
what?
And also, just an update on some bid wars we currently have coming up for Odin Sphere Lathrasher. We've got the voice language, which has currently Japanese leading by $215 to $25 for English. And then there's also the character choice for Odin Sphere, with Gwendolyn leading with $250 to Velvet, who's trailing at $70. So if you want to get your opinion in for those bid wars, please donate before the Odin Sphere run begins.
Alright, now we're on the fire map. We're actually here because a shark man wants us to clear out these animals, I think.
I've forgotten the story. Last time I've done this run was like 4 years ago.
Yeah. And one of the characters we saw in a cutscene earlier is here trying to protect these animals, even though they don't really want the protection from him. And he's a very weird character.
I mean, it's not like he could even slow down Morona at this point in time. So, you know, it's all just kind of a waste.
These have 700 life. I mean, I'm only overkilling them by like 3 times.
Yeah, and yeah, the enemy stats are starting to get up there a little bit.
Starting to, but we've got a plan for when once we're unable to one-shot them, because yeah, 2,000 damage is good. I don't know what you're getting stuck on.
There we
we
go.
go.
Yeah, because it's not a tile-based system, movement in this game can sometimes be a little tricky, but for the most part, it's fine.
Yeah, moving over changes in elevation in particular can be a little bit janky at points. You'll see, like, it was like the werewolf way back on the first werewolf fight where it got stuck on that little pillar. You know, things like that will happen quite a bit.
I mean, the werewolf gets stuck on his slime minions, let alone the terrain.
He's not very smart, okay?
He's trying his best.
Did Morona just go wee?
Yes.
Yes. Whee! She's having fun.
This is such a great run.
Yeah, it's amazing how happy she is for how she really shouldn't be, but
Let's do it.
It's nice to stay positive.
yeah.
Take pride in the things that you do, and you'll enjoy them forever.
I mean, she's now a 13-year-old girl just swinging a sword and destroying things.
I mean, that's fine. Everyone needs a hobby.
But at this point, she does own her own island. She didn't even have to pay for it. We just got it for free.
We could have.
We could have paid for it like 100 times over.
I think this is one of Pink's favorites, Matt.
Yeah.
Because
So-
of this next thing.
Yeah, this next attack here. Because of how the movement system works, we actually attack this ghost from out of bounds.
There's no benefit to it, but it's just funny.
Yeah. I like to call it the dive, or in this case, the Morona dive. And then at this point, we have to use 2 characters, so we have enough turns so they don't get a turn. If they get a single turn, they can potentially steal our weapon and completely kill us. So we don't ever want that to happen.
I'm gonna have to do another combine.
Yep. This one's kind of tricky. It might look like you would want to split up your characters, but as I've tried, it doesn't really work out that well.
Yeah, and this is one of the things where like the level of the weapon I got early in the game matters. Because if I had a higher level weapon, I would have more speed, and I wouldn't have had to like confine Ash to basically squeeze another turn out of Morona.
Yeah, the speed calculation in this game is really weird.
I don't understand it at all.
Neither do I, and I've played this game a lot.
More speed is better.
More speed on more characters gives you even more speed. I don't know how to explain it.
There's probably a lot of math under the hood that we don't understand.
Probably a lot of incorrect math.
Probably.
But we'll take advantage of it as best we can, so it's fine.
Yeah, at this point we start kind of revisiting some old islands. This one, we actually convinced the owner of the like third biggest company that this island was infested with dragons, so we shouldn't expand here. He found out we lied.
Yeah, the putties were on this area, and they're friends.
Yeah, we like the putties,
They're adorable.
even though they're called the thieves of the forest, but they're actually useful.
They're just trying to protect the things that are important.
My turn.
So now we're just trying to get rid of all of these soldiers as fast as we can because they are still trying to take over the island. And we're not into that.
Yeah.
So the movement in this game is a little weird in that you saw that Morona wasn't able to actually, or not Morona, the fighter wasn't actually able to make it close enough to do a normal attack, but you can squeeze in a little bit more distance by moving and then attacking instead of attack moving.
She's going to miss this attack, and I'm going to have to do it again, because she slides every time.
So there's a putty. We don't need to beat them, but we also...
There are friends, and after I knew that, this attack is way more evil.
Yeah, that one is just like in a bad way either way, honestly.
Yeah, we can be... They're just taking a little nap. It's fine.
Go.
Also, this particular battle theme is one of my favorites.
Yeah, if you're playing this game casually, you hear the music a lot more in depth. It has a really good soundtrack.
I'm a fan of the ice theme myself.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, here we're going to have to split 3 different ways. So here, we're actually not going to one-shot the boss there. So, and that'll start happening soon if we don't do anything about it. So, we better do something about that soon.
Yeah, I have a plan after this mission.
Yeah, one-shotting things is faster than two-shotting things.
Also, having more speed is better because you have more turns, so they don't get turns.
Yeah, things are starting to have, like, since they're being high levels, they have higher stats, so they're starting to catch up to me. So I'm only getting, like, 4 turns before things get a turn now?
Yeah, that's no good. We can't have that.
That's just not good enough to...
We can't have them getting close to a turn, so at this point, all these weapons that have gained...
I don't know why I always
mana.
skip that before I do it, but I do.
Yeah, all those weapons that have been gaining mana, we're going to be using them now. So we're going to actually apply that. You know, a while ago we got that one dungeon monk with the failure title. This is where we use it. So we're going to intentionally decrease the stats of our really good weapons. So you go from like plus 50% to minus 80%, and then we're going to fuse away some of our weapons that have just been gaining mana.
Sometimes we're fusing just the mana purely onto the weapon, and sometimes we're actually upping the equipment abilities.
So we're going to make it weak, but we're going to also increase the stats of it.
Okay, I'm actually going to leave the merchants at that. That's high enough.
Yep. So getting 200 attack on a weapon that's at 2,000 attack is all well fine and good, but if you reduce the stats by 80% and then you add the 200 on, you get another 1,000 instead. So the numbers get really absurd when you put the chief title back on, because now you're getting that 200 that's turned into 1,000 that's now going to turn into 1,500. So we're going to take advantage of that scaling to push our weapons above 5,000 attack.
Yeah, the numbers are is we want to get to about 1,000 attack while it's under the failure title. And then after that, oops, oh, bonked on Morona. And then once we put the chief title back on, it'll go 7.5 times that, so it'll be about 7,500 attack. Sometimes we can get past 1,000, and it'll be like 8,000 attack or something.
Yeah, Morona's is going to go a little higher here.
Better safe than sorry, so we're going to just use up as much as we can here.
Whatever. And then one other thing, B is actually going to get a stronger explosion.
And then because we beat 20 Fenrir's earlier, we can make some. It's just essentially extra characters that have the first strike attack or first strike skill, because Ash alone, while he's good, we can't make multiple Ashes, so we have to use Fenrir for that particular role.
I shouldn't need a safety safe here, but I'm just going to make one for
The sake of being safe.
yeah.
Fenrir's end up in being a better Ash overall because they actually have 70 movement. They have some of the highest movement stat in the game, alongside very good speed. So they're actually really good units to use in the game itself as well.
I forgot to put the chief title back on her weapon.
Oh, that's not good.
But the fighter can do some damage, and I can bring the merchant out in a sec. I just need to get rid of all these ones that are around Morona.
Just throw the weapon and confine the merchant.
Yeah. Is this gonna hit something?
Perfect. Split the two pillars and just landed it right on the enemy.
I don't know if that's gonna reach it, but the merchant can just deal with it. Okay, good.
My turn.
All right. All right. So I have to go back to the island now for a second. That's still impressive. 400 damage with a failure weapon.
Yeah.
I mean, it does have 1,000 attack.
Much
No, it
better.
has 8,000 attack.
All right, let's try that again.
Once more with actual damage.
Yeah, now we see her face over and over on the right side.
Much better.
Much better. Yeah, here we have kind of 3 different zones, so we're kind of forced into using 3 characters, which turns out to be the efficient number of characters to use anyway, so it all works out.
The fighter gets to do something really fun here, too.
Yeah, we can use the ground breaker on top of an enemy, and if you position it just right.
You hit the one underneath you as well, for reasons.
I like to call those head breakers.
Can't attack something next to you, but you can stomp it. You can stomp it right out of existence.
And Walnut is here to help and do absolutely nothing. Because we're totally faster than him.
We're gonna give him the day off. It's fine. He works so hard.
Go.
We'll bring Mikey out instead.
No, we don't want to bring the merchant out immediately because there's a long distance for the last enemy, so
Yeah.
we're actually going to move Morona over here so she can barely make it up there, and then the Big Bang will take care of that last enemy way up there.
Otherwise, you have to go. You have to go all the way around because you can't make that jump up with most characters, and it's a long haul around the map.
Let's go.
And then this is kind of particular, the ordering here. You actually need to throw these characters off in order. There are a lot of enemies on this map, so even if you increase their levels, even if you increase the levels at this point, it's fine. But there are a lot of spread out enemies, so we're trying to just use the Fenrir's and Ash to just throw them off, take care of them just as a kind of one-off kind of deal. Because they do immediately get one turn, but they're not going to get another one because they're level 1 and have basically no speed. And then here we see another spawn of Sulfur again, the big bad of the game. We saw him earlier, but we get to see him again, and I don't think the Merchant can one-shot again with a Big Bang. No, that's pretty close. Yeah, that confined range is not going to make it.
I'm not gonna have to wait a turn. Yeah, I'm good. No, she can't one-shot it, but if you get this in the right position, you'll not hit the blue slime. Whatever.
Yeah, you just use the Big Bang damage and normal damage, and that's basically 2 hits right there. You can use that as a sort of pseudo 2-hit kind of deal.
Just donate the fighter's weapon.
That was
It's the reason I brought Morona over here. Because
Oh.
that guy could steal one of the weapons.
yeah.
And then you'll just get the kill with the other one before it gets a turn.
Yeah. Cutscenes.
Yep, whole bunch of cutscenes right there that we can actually skip. And then there's this chapter that just has two stages in it. Or episode, whatever.
Yeah, not a lot going on here though. You know, this one's real straightforward.
Yeah, these guys have quite a bit of HP for this point in the game, but
Yeah, these guys are actually level 60. Like, even my Morona at this point was 42 going into that fight.
and they have a few thousand HP. But because we powered up our weapons with what's called Failure Fusion, we can still one-shot them. And because we did that Failure Fusion, our weapons are pretty much good enough to take to the end of the game.
I have just enough turns here.
Yep, there's a big cluster right here. If we position it just right, we can take all of them out.
Nice.
Really?
Can you get both? Yeah. Might have been able to get both of them, but it's going to take time to try and figure out.
I think they were too far away, but
Yeah, we don't know for sure if we could have gotten both of them.
so yeah, at this point in the game, Morona's actually going around helping all the people that kind of berated her earlier and like told her to go away because she's the possessed one. And the problem is Morona's too nice.
It's endearing though. I think we really like that about her, is that she's really just out to help the people.
Yeah.
One day they'll understand. One day.
I mean, she'll just beat some sense into them. They will understand when she is done with them.
I mean, once we save the world, they kind of have to like us.
I mean,
That's not necessarily true.
Oh,
but how can you really say no to that smile? It's such a great smile.
she's way too happy.
I got time to squeeze a quick donation in.
Go ahead.
Yep.
We have a $13.37 donation from Pidge. Good luck on the rest of the run. Shoutouts to Demerin on the couch.
Thanks, Pidge.
And it ends with a heart.
Aw.
Yeah, there's an immovable barrier. You can get rid of this by defeating the enemies in the middle, but it's just quicker to...
Yeah, you don't want to go back and forth, so we're going to summon our Fenrir's here to just get rid of these one-off enemies. And then use Groundbreaker on the Manticore, that'll get rid of the sort of barrier.
He already took care of that unit.
Being more efficient than usual on this map.
So I don't know if you knew this, Khobahi, but you see all those items there? If you can find a phantom to that, they can't actually move. So this is... Casually, this is actually a really difficult map because of that. But, we're really strong. Marona herself is fine.
Who needs help? Yeah, and you have to go past these zombies and kill those Fenrir first because they're way fast. And like after 4 turns, they would have actually gotten a turn.
And if you don't have enough speed, you can just find another character to kind of butt in on the turn order.
All these people are dead.
They're sleeping. They have sunstroke. It's actually true.
I mean, we are in the middle of the wasteland right now.
Well, there's a fragment of the final boss here that's making it harder than usual. We would know that, but we're not watching cutscenes.
Here you go.
And then we come here and save them, and even though we leave before they actually come to consciousness, they still know it was us later.
Well, of course. I mean, you know, 13-year-old child swinging around a sword, slaying all of our enemies is a really narrow band for kind of understanding who is doing the job right now.
Ice physics again.
Yay! Ice physics are actually fun. Well, when you first start out, you end up trying to maximize your movement, just spending as much time as possible with it. And you could do that for a speedrun, but don't really need to do it that much. On the next stage, I think we actually take an extra turn that we could have done, making sure we maximize our movement with ice physics.
It's super precise, though, and it's just, you know, you can still only, unless you're groundbreakering, you can only kill one thing at a time. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's just easier just to kill one thing at a time, as you can see bouncing off of that tree.
Yeah, it's the map after this that we use 2 turns to actually get to the first unit.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And technically, it's faster to throw your weapon and do a big bang, but that is really hard to get correct. So
Yeah, with the ice physics, you have to throw it, like, right at your feet, basically, and get it to slide all the way there, because it's a downhill throw, too.
Yeah, so I could be a lot more precise, and I could get to that unit in the corner on the first turn, but I don't need to, so...
You have 7 tries to get there. I'm sure it will be fine.
Yeah, but I also have to deal with the rest of the things on this map.
Yeah, but they're zombies. They have, like, no speed stat to speak of.
the mermen have okay speed.
Fine.
It's not that much speed.
Here you go.
I think the one thing that really, when you're learning this particular speedrun, this is a fantastic speedrun to learn, just because of everything that's going on in terms of precision of movement, and, you know, it's a great tactical RPG, is kind of how quickly that you can just run through these menus once you have practice. It looks really effortless, but it takes a ton of work to get through these fast.
We're not going to end up killing that blue one in one hit, usually.
No, we don't have a strong enough weapon for that.
Yeah, you can confine the merchant, though, to that thing right next to it.
Nah, just kill it. I can find the this guy here, and then I just send Moon into the abyss and just end the turn. She knows where she's going.
Thankfully, if Marona goes out of bounds, she'll just be taken right back.
Instead, she's like right beside the things she needs to take care of. Oh, that wasn't.
Whatever.
Yeah. Sometimes you try and do things too fast, and you get creatures out of the AoE. that
Yeah.
you're doing.
Especially when they're really close, because the AoE is super narrow at the front of the AoE there. All right, ice physics over.
Yep.
Now we're in a building. That company that Khobahi mentioned earlier, we're actually going through it now.
Yeah. The CEO of this company's brother actually runs the circus and hired us to save his brother. Because this building has been taken over by evil.
Yeah, there are a couple of really neat technical fights in casual play here that are very challenging, just because of the walls and the positioning that goes into it. We're gonna ignore all of those mechanics at this point.
I mean, it's still pretty interesting.
I mean, it is. You know, getting everything set up with the characters in the right places is actually, you know, again, it's a real challenge.
And right here, we're actually going to select the item above so we can actually have enough height on our attack to beat that enemy.
Yeah, if those things stack, you can use the select button to actually change which one you're targeting. This is the only mission in the game where you actually kind of have to use it.
And here, there are some of these unmovable zones, but we're going to find ways around it in every single situation. So normally you would just go kind of maze around, but we're using the Groundbreaker here as kind of an AoE, or not an AoE, a ranged skill in a way, so we can get past that. Yeah, and then there's these two enemies here. And the merchant will take care of these last three enemies.
You have to get literally right up to this wall to confine the merchant here.
Let's do it.
And here's another, like, strict positioning map. You have sort of these three mimics in a row. You need to throw your thing precisely so you can hit all three of them. Yeah, you have to do Mega Bonus
Here you
twice.
go.
And this targeting can sometimes... There we go. Yeah, like learning the exact positioning for some of the attacks is a little tricky at times, but after you do them enough times, you get a feel for where they go. This mission, they think they've trapped Morona here. They've trapped themselves.
Yeah, there are no items in the close area here, so you either have to go with Morona herself, which normally she's not that powerful alone, but this isn't normal. This is a speedrun.
There's a whole bunch of items down here, and there's an enemy inside of them, which, with how the way we play the game, is a big mistake by them. Goodbye. And I need to heal here.
You also destroy all those boxes, which we're assuming are holding contraband.
This company makes medical supplies.
Contraband medical supplies.
This is a pretty large map, so we have to use a bunch of turns to just get here. And then this room has like 4 separate locks to it, but we're strong enough that we can take out one, or we can use one character to take out all 6 of these enemies.
Yeah, and the reason I had to heal is because he wouldn't have had any groundbreakers left there, and he actually doesn't have enough turns to kill all the enemies down below. I made that mistake once.
Yeah, so those locks over there are by these little pots, and then when these enemies get turns, they'll destroy these pots, but they don't even get a single turn.
Yeah, then it releases the enemies on you, which again in a casual playthrough can be very scary, where all of a sudden 6 enemies are rushing you down that you're not ready for.
Yeah, a bunch of the items are on the other side of the map, so...
It gives you time to prepare, but it's also kind of a bad scene to be in.
What?
Some.
Sound.
But we.
And we're now kind of setting up for kind of the last 2, but it's actually the last like 4 episodes.
All on the same island. Island of Evil. Who would have thought that the...
Yeah, why would the last boss be on the island of evil?
Seems a little on the nose.
Yeah, this one's a bit tricky.
Let's do it.
I was trying a couple things here, but I still couldn't get it to go the way I wanted it to.
Fine.
My turn.
We've got a bunch of maps here that are just pretty straightforward. So if there's any donations or anything you want to read off, now would be a pretty good time.
We do have a $10 donation from Grimora. Hi, Khobahi.
Hi, Gamora.
Yeah, a lot of this part of the game is really, this is kind of the end game stat check. Do you have the numbers that you need to get through to, you know, fight the final boss? We do. We're good. We're good.
Yeah, we passed the check. We passed the check a while ago. About half an hour ago. So we're good.
Like, in theory, you can go through the entire game without, you know, doing more than the power-up that we did at the beginning of the game there. But again, enemies will get turned, and it's fairly slow, but it's doable.
I actually rather that where you don't use that trick. The speedrun ended up being about 4 hours.
You were watching my recording, weren't you?
I actually was not. It just so happens to be 4 hours if you don't do the 3-2 bunny trick.
Let's do it.
Oh yeah, and to mention, if you look at the speedrun.com, you'll see like one time that's about an hour 40. That uses a route that is very luck dependent and not marathon safe at all.
No.
It uses like these random dungeons, and then you have to randomly get the right thing perfectly, and it's a mess. And it's also less interesting, so this is both marathon safe and a more interesting version of the run.
Yeah, as you can see, these enemies are in like perfect V-shaped formations to get groundbreakered, but only at one particular spot.
Well, luckily, we can use multiple characters. No, wait. Mortality's end. God, forget. You always have to fight Walnut again.
With the sad music.
Walnut is Castile's brother. And that was episode 17, and now...
This is the part where everyone actually becomes Mona's friend.
Yeah.
So now everyone's on our side, and this evil island has actually been taken over by the final boss now.
It's even more evil, so it's the Island of Evilerness or something.
That's what all the red is just the evil emanating out of the ground now.
Let's go.
Oh, this mission is.
Yeah, so we have another mini version of Sulfur there. We can't actually get close to him, so we have to use a ranged attack, and Groundbreaker counts. Yeah, we can't actually get any closer than that. So we're just going to use the skills that we've used for AoE this entire run as ranged attacks.
It's pretty handy. Now we have to deal with a lot of angry lions.
And as you can see, they're starting to show up on the turn meter immediately. You know, we're not getting more than 4 or 5 turns now again.
I think you're too high is the problem.
There we go.
Let's do it.
I've never actually mentioned this, but when you confine to an item, the items themselves have specific bonuses and minuses that kind of change the stats of whoever you confine it to. But it's the stats of the character and not of the weapon. In this case, we're using mostly the weapon. And right here, we're trying to get our weapon just under that little manticore there so that we can use one big bang.
Yeah, that's probably the hardest throw in the game. To actually get it on that ledge, but not have one of the lines pick it up or it fall off.
Thankfully, you can just reset your turn and do it as many times as you need, even if they catch the weapon.
If you screw up a throw and nothing particular happens, like the thing going out of bounds, then you can just undo your throw.
And luckily, these ones are, for some reason, all gathered around these crystals.
Casually, this is actually a really hard map because there are only 3 items total.
That's all we need.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all we need. So it's not a big deal. But usually you're going with like 5, 6, sometimes 7 characters.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
And the crystals are buffing the enemies too, so it ends up becoming very frustrating very quickly.
and they also try to take out those crystals so you sometimes have even fewer characters to work with. But we're fast. Yeah, the movement in this game is special.
Rona just wanted to jump. Come on.
That's probably why you don't see a whole lot of these gridless tactical RPGs. It's because of that. Pathing is really hard.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of do as you please with movement. It gets a little tricky.
3 maps to go. Sort of. Last one you do twice.
Yeah, I'm using Groundbreaker here as a ranged attack.
Let's go.
Yeah, this is a really wide map right here. Probably one of the widest maps in the game.
Yeah, this one are the last of the bamboo buildings.
We get to cut a little corner right here by throwing over the gap. And then here we see a kind of possessed Raphael or something. I forget exactly.
Yeah, basically he tried to go and defeat Sulfur himself, and
Failed.
yeah,
He didn't even come close.
So he's possessed. We can't one-shot him, but we can use Big Bang for damage, and then Merchant can finish it off.
oh wow.
Wow. Usually that kills.
My Merchant's weapon's a little weaker than usual.
Fair.
Like at this point in the game, even though the Merchant's level 130, the fact that it's a decently weak unit actually comes to. All right. Now I make a safety save because things can go wrong.
Yeah, the final boss is actually kind of tricky. The next thing we're going to see is not the final boss, because it's going to go really quickly. But there's actually a somewhat complicated strat. But first, we're going to take out that crystal because it increases the speed of,
Sprout.
yeah, Sprout here.
And we are...
And we use the kind of speed trick to start to get extra turns and then smack him down.
Yeah, casually, this boss gets 60% to attack, defense, and speed from those 3 crystals that are giving him buffs, and it's a real pain. In this one, there are 4 crystals that apply invincibility, so we can't do anything until they're all gone.
Yeah, so this is the last fight in the game, so time is coming up.
But those 4 blue crystals we need to get rid of. So we're going to use all of our first attack characters. We're going to pick one of them up and throw them all the way over there so we have enough distance. And then all of the others we're going to throw in the same spot, and we're going to gather all of our first strike characters in. We're trying to cluster them up all in the same spot as well. And we need to grab an item to just confine with. So we're trying to cluster them all up because the final boss here is going to get a turn. And he'll favor actually killing multiple enemies.
I'm actually going to do a safety.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring B out here. You don't normally use her in this fight, but like if he comes over and this Annihilate hits Morona, it will kill her. Luckily it didn't.
Yeah, that's why we clustered our characters.
And now it's time to start hacking away.
Let's do it.
It's got like 15,000 HP or something.
Yep.
Time.
Yeah, time to be about right here. It's time.
It's
It was about a 205, which is pretty good.
Which is solid.
Yeah.
That's actually a recorded PB, but I PB'd in the practice room earlier by like 3 minutes, not recorded.
The marathon classic.
No vid, no din.
Exactly. That's why. Yeah. But yeah, that's Phantom Brave.
And we can see this final little cutscene here where Ash is going to sacrifice what's left of him to try and seal Sulfur, but Walnut comes in and is like, you know, I've been a kind of jerk, so I'm actually going to do something good for once. And then he uses his power of Scarlet the Brave, which is kind of a
It's the only thing that's supposed to technically be able to beat the boss. But the actual hero of the game is the putties that we saved. They lock him in an alternate dimension that he can never come back from.
well, he does come back in post game and completely unsealed.
This has like one of the shortest post games of a Nipponichi game as well. It's actually quite accessible for casual play.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, we can cut that. Basically, Walnut's going to come in, seal the last boss, credits roll.
You'll go. Hey.
So we can cut if we want, or just keep the rest of this going.
Thank you, Khobahi, for that super-powered run. All right, next up we'll go and prepare for an interview with Clear Tonic, interviewing Khobahi, and following that we'll have an Odin Sphere Leifthreiser run. But first, we're going to cut to a Twitch ad, and we'll see you momentarily. And welcome back. Looks like we're ready for the interview, so let's throw it over to Clear Tonic and Khobahi.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Clear Tonic, and I'm joined here by Khobahi, who just finished his run. So tell me about it. How did it go?
It went fairly well. I mean, nothing. The 3 problem missions in the early game, none of them really gave me an issue. So it went pretty clean. Recorded PB, so always a good thing.
Yeah, you were saying you got one in the practice room, but this is like an official one now?
Yeah, this one's official because, I wasn't recording in the practice room. But
Yeah, for sure. So I think one of the things we like to talk about with the runners is like the whole process of getting ready for a run like this. So maybe if you can tell me a little bit about kind of the routing history of who put their hands on the run. Was it you? Was it other people? And, how did it get to the state where it is right now?
So a vast majority of this run was done by Pink Pajamas, who was on my couch. There was another one we kind of briefly mentioned that uses the Dungeon Monk and a whole bunch of stuff that is so more RNG heavy than anything we did in my run that it's just not feasible for a marathon or even clean constant runs. So he did it, and then like a little bit of optimization here and there on each of individual missions, because as a tactical RPG, everything always spawns in the same spot.
Yeah.
Some of the damages and resistances are a little different, but realistically, it's just knowing where everything is and what you can do to get everything down and beat the level.
Yeah, interesting. So throughout that run, it seemed like you spent a fair amount of time getting ready with all of your kind of resources, and then you were like plowing stuff for a long time, and then it gets progressively harder. Can you talk a bit about like that whole dynamic of, I guess, scaling up and getting ready through the end game to actually get what you need?
Yeah, so the first 3 missions take about the first hour of the run, and it's only just over a 2-hour run. So what you're doing there is you're basically playing the game normally, almost. So you're combining a bunch of units, using elemental advantages to get through the runs, all the time accruing mana in your weapons and your characters that you then later use to get, certain skills that allow you to do that level up fight with that rabbit. Using that rabbit, it's in the game to begin with. We don't have to do anything special to get that to spawn.
Yeah.
So we abuse that to max level a merchant, get a ton of money, and then just buy overpowered weapons.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like really cool to see people like that's just in the game itself. And I think if you're creative and smart, you come up with we're just using what's given to us, and then we just kind of plow through it. So
yeah, I think initially that map is put in there. Like if you take too long, those bunnies get too high of a level, and you won't stand a chance. But we're speedrunners. We take advantage of everything we're given.
Yeah, for sure. So maybe we'll just talk about like your history as runner. How does this game stack up compared to some of the other runs you've done?
This is the only, tactical game, tactical-based RPG I play. The other ones are all more turn-based. I do a lot of Final Fantasy IV. I've done Lufia Ancient Cave and stuff as well. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely a lot different, knowing the movement and stuff that you need to do in battle as well. A lot of the other things are, basic attacks and AoEs and stuff like that. But it's definitely interesting, and it's a fun grasp because it's not your normal grid-based system. So there's some intricacies you can do with the movement as well.
Yeah, for sure. How did you kind of get into it? Did you see the game was this would be kind of cool to route out, or?
Yeah, I was always a fan of the Disgaea games. I actually didn't know this one existed until I actually saw Pink Pajamas do a run of it after I followed him from a previous run of his in a marathon. Mm-hmm. And I saw him running it and thought it looked pretty interesting. Picked it up and slowly learned the first few missions and everything until I could piece together a full run, and just kind of stuck with it, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. So we definitely want to talk with people who are attending our event about what's coming up in the rest of the schedule and what they're interested in. Is there something that kind of reaches out to you as an attendee as to what you'd be, looking forward to for the rest of the week?
I'm definitely looking forward to obviously the Free Enterprise run that's later on Friday. It's going to be a great, always involved with that and happy to see it. Beyond that, the Phantasy Star 4 race with Bick and Tyler is going to be awesome to see how the game trolls them.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
I don't know. There's so many great runs to choose from in this marathon, so hopefully I can get enough sleep to catch as many as I want. But.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Sounds good. So before we kick it back, we just want to talk about prizes a little bit. We have a few prizes coming up, but specifically ending soon. We've got this Mandragora plushie, which is pretty cool. Go hold this. And we've got PlayStation 2 Shadow Hearts Covenant coming up soon as well. So make sure you check out the prize tracker. And yeah, I think with that, we're going to kick it back over to the next run.
Thank you, Clear Tonic, and thank you, Khobahi, once again for that great run. So we're going to cut to a quick Twitch ad, and then we'll be right back. Welcome back. So, real quick, we have a $5 ad, or a $5 donation from RPD234. Slightly cheapest to admit, but Phantom Brave is one of the few Disgaea adjacent games I've not played. Great run, and glad to see Morona finally get her revenge on a world that has so very much wronged her. You are watching RPG Limit Break. We are here supporting NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization, which work is focused around 3 pillars: education, support, awareness, and advocacy. What does that mean? Education and support via their 48 state offices and nearly 700 affiliates. NAMI offers a host of signature programs, presentations, and support groups that are available free of charge. This includes a national helpline that can provide information, resources, and a compassionate, understanding, trained volunteer to support anyone who calls in. We're almost ready for the race, so that means we'll be closing off the bid war for the character choice in about a minute. So if you want to get your donations in on that, you have just a little bit of time left. We just got a really generous $100 donation from Andrew44. No comment, but thank you so much for that donation, Andrew. RPG Limit Break is proud to once again partner with the Yeti to bring you 8 amazing t-shirts and a hoodie now available, plus pins. Head over to theyeti.com/RPGLB, take a look at the designs, pick the ones you want, and know that $4 from every t-shirt purchased will be donated to NAMI. Remember, Yeti is spelled Y-E-T-E-E. theyeti.com/RPGLB. We have a couple donations right now. A $25 donation from Shawnee7188 and Full Feeder Tias. Best of luck from the both of us. We're both rooting for good RNG and a great show from both runners. Donation goes to Delphi's Choice. We also have a $25 donation from Lord Hayati. Maria's name will be Clegg.